Hey, good morning, everyone. As we discussed the basics of what is applications, what are the different kind of application types, what is the history behind web development. That is what yesterday we understood and fundamentals of OSI, Open System Interconnections, and SDLC. Okay, hope you guys are clear about yesterday's concept. If you have any questions or any confusions, feel free to discuss with me in the group. And also, I'm clearly instructing everyone, if you're facing any challenges, you have to clear those challenges. And if you clear those doubts on the same day, then there is no garbage inside learning. You can move aramse because everyone are working for results. And if you put efforts, you need not to suffer a lot during the interview process or maybe a placement process or working in a company. Need not to face anything. That's why we are working very hard. See, to provide one-day content, there are 10 to 11 members are working, not just one trainer, in order to provide a proper training. That's the point. See, because this is our training institute is recognized by technical education. That is where we are one of the top-rated training institute in technical field because the content is solid. It is verified by IIT and NITs. And we won't even just give a training by copying and pasting. No, it is not our process. We have a content quality policy wherein our content should be up to the mark as per the standards. Whatever the promise that we have given, we are just working on that. That's where you can compare our quality of training with anyone else in India. I'm sure you will never ever get. That's where today we are also getting, just before a few minutes, I'm talking to US guys. And we are also planning to expand operations in USA because they like our quality. And everyone got an opportunity to interact with the quality team here at AchieversIT. But I noticed still few people are not serious about their trainings, but at least try to change your prospect. Okay, fine. Today, what I'm going to discuss, I'll try to discuss about an HTML. So no matter even if you are a full stack Java, or if you are full stack Python, or if you are full stack Node.js, or if you are full stack PHP or full stack .NET, whatever XYZ backend database you are using, the very first and foremost language that everyone must aware, HTML. Where HTML is majorly useful for creating a web pages. Majorly useful for creating web pages. If you see 10 years before, companies are hiring separate backend developers. Companies are also hiring separate front-end developers and database developers. Now the trend is full stack. Companies are looking forward to hire super talents who are having multiple knowledge. That's where, but of course, but if you wanted to learn full stack, first you have to start with any one stack. Am I making sense? That is where first learn UI, then learn backend, then go for database. This is the roadmap. But if you guys are violating a rule and learning backend first, learning database, then the opportunities are limited for backend and database first. There'll be compared to opportunities are important, right? For us, once we learn how frequently that we get a calls from industry, that plays very important role. Freshers are not aware of it. That's the reason many of the freshers, even yesterday I spoke with one girl and she has completed, Java backend, core Java, SQL, and Oracle. And she's suffering from past 1.5 years. She's not getting a job. If you want to prepare a food, however, all the ingredients are required. Even if salt is not there, we cannot add taste. Even if chili is not there, and even if any one ingredient is not there, and it sounds like a half-cooked food, half-cooked food will definitely create some problems in our stomach. Similarly, do not ever try to learn insufficient knowledge. For that, talk to expert team, talk to me, and I'm sure we will try to create a proper roadmap. First, we'll create a static application first. We'll understand the limitations and problems, disadvantages and drawbacks. Then we'll move on to the dynamic application. to create a dynamic applications, we might need backend, definitely. But without a static, if you don't know how to create a static and differences, disadvantages, learning dynamic, it will not fulfill your need. And we are from industry expert, having 16 plus years of experience in IT. I know when we started developing an application, we'll always start with the static pages. Then only we'll connect to the dynamic. With my real-time and live experience, I'm just coming forward here to teach HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Don't ever try to give abbreviations, and which has a lot more things to do. And even 1990s, HTML started. But from 1990s to till today, HTML got too much traction, and HTML latest versions are rocking like anything. And we can use HTML for creating web pages. We can also use HTML for creating a mobile pages. We can also use HTML for gaming applications. We can also use HTML for customized desktop applications. So this front end like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, these three are pillars of front end. However, for a backend, Java and Python is a pillars. Database, Oracle, MySQL, PostgreSQL, that comes under one category of database, that is RDBMS. And MongoDB, CouchDB, Cassandra, this comes under NoSQL. However, every field there is a leaders. Every field there is a leaders. And step by step, if you learn, and that is where you need a mentor, solid mentors who are from industry. One session is quite good enough for you to judge what quality AchieversIT is. I'm sure. So that's why see the quality of content what I'm providing here. And if you are facing any challenges, you have an option to raise your hands and ask a question. Be serious about yourself. Next, we are starting introduction. And once the introduction is over, then we'll try to move on to the history of HTML. And you guys have to understand, because you are learning at 2024, but HTML is not just born. HTML already born decades back. So that you must understand what are the challenges that existing versions faced, and what are the updates which are there in the next versions, how these particular versions are helping us to build large scale applications. So that's where you must understand history. And for every language, there is a core concept. Every language, there is a core. And however, human also, see, if human would like to become active, and human would like to become a fit, human would like to become result oriented, and human should always, providing his full time, I mean to say, energetic way if he wanted to present. Can you all tell me what is the core part of a human body? Yeah, some answers are heart. Next, brain. Next, what is the core part of a human body? Someone said? Huh? Nervous system. So, no. Stomach, yes. That is a core. Which one is? The intestine. This is the core part. Why? Because whatever you eat, it goes and it digests, it generates energy. That is where the blood is going to prepare inside because blood and oxygen, am making sense? That is the core area. See how poor you are. The general knowledge also, it is very poor. Kindly improve. Stomach is a core. Similarly, for every language, there are few concepts which are mandatorily to learn. You cannot skip. We will cover in this particular concept, core concept of HTML, what the mandatory stuff. And for every page, no matter whether you are creating a web page or you are creating a mobile page or any application page, there is a structure. For every language, there is a syntaxes and structure. You must follow that. And HTML is a deadly easiest markup language available in the market. If you guys are failed to understand HTML after giving thorough and detailed explanation, and you have to take your brain and put it in a museum. and for a next generation to display. Okay, so then at last, I'm going to give you key points to remember. This is how the session is going to start. Next, guys, if I'm talking, first I'm going to talk about what is HTML. So here, when I'm talking, please try to make a note. Note in the sense, don't ever try to note everything, because anyway recorded sessions are provided. Maybe if you feel something to be noted as a part of your habit, because you have habitually start writing your notes, right, in the colleges. Maybe if you are a good guy, maybe if you are a super talented guy, and in college, sir, no, sir, I don't know how to make a note, sir, because that is not my habit. I'll go once in a blue moon. So then if you are such kind of guy, change that habit. So I don't ever try to disturb the sessions by making a note. See, everyone knows how to talk, but they don't know what to talk. Everyone knows how to read. Reading they know, but how to read they don't know. Reading should also be art. Listening and reading, these two skills. Definitely, you guys have to improve. If you're an active listener, as long as if I'm listening, my eyes should also work, ears should also work, and nerve system should also work, and brain should also work. Then only all four, if they are interconnected each other, I'm sure we can go to the next level. And if brain says, yes, I'm just, my brain is somewhere, my eyes is somewhere, my ears are somewhere, and nerve system is, then how are we going to learn? Okay, that's why understand each one of the point. See, hypertext markup language is a standard markup language. There are multiple markup languages out there. Listen carefully, then you can make a note. There are many markup languages. Out of all, HTML plays very crucial role in the page creation. It is a standard markup language used for creating web pages and web applications. At the same time, now we are also using HTML for creating mobile pages as well as mobile applications. And yesterday we discussed about a couple of application types like mobile, desktop, web, APIs, every point. And even all front end, no matter, even everywhere, except backend. If you want to present something, HTML is mandatory. Even though if some applications are using any different frameworks, but the behind the scenes, the frameworks would also be used HTML. Next, HTML provides a basic structure. Structure is very important. It provides the basic structure. And in that structure, it allows us to place a content. Content is a king. What is king here? Content. See how many people, many companies, even I got an offer from one company called this one Walmart recently. I applied just simply. Boss, you believe or not, they are ready to pay more than 1 crore as a package. But just for the sake of learning something and to understand how product-based companies do interviews, I used to keep applying. I'll also keep going for interviews sometimes. Because latest friends, if I understand, I can even teach more better to my students. For that reason only, very frequently I used to take interviews, I used to give interviews. Am I making sense? But here, I'm not in a position to beg for a job. Even companies are looking forward to my profile. They will always, give a call and they say that, sir, whatever you are asking, please tell me, we are ready to offer. Because my profile is rich. How my profile is rich? Technologies. That's all. They are not looking at my personality. They are looking at my profile and they are checking my LinkedIn profile and they are also seeing my online reputation. And because of all the reasons, they are giving a importance to me. So in software engineering, the one who is skilled enough, he'll be getting good packages. No matter whether you belongs to, some university which is not recognized, they don't care. At certain point of time, experience is experience. That's why you would have already seen in your neighborhoods or somewhere else in your village, the guy who don't know, who is not having a degree, but in city he become a crorepati. How is possible? Hard work never fails. Hard work beats talent. IITN. Also, if you don't have a proper plan, A normal village guy has a proper plan and execution, and he can even beat a IIT. Now, I'm telling you guys, if you try to prepare a proper plan and you create all your 24 hours, must be planned well in advance. That is called structure. Similarly, when you are creating a content, yes, of course, I have a content. How do I present? If I'm not using these particular channels properly, if the presentation is not created by my team and me, then today I cannot present, right? See what channel I'm using. See, we got the best presenter awards and technical award many times. Because our presentation is always innovative. So structure and content, these two plays very important role when it comes to the page, no matter which of the page it is. Very simple example I'm giving you. Some people, if they are just walking or running 10 kilometers, they're just fallen sick. Some people are not, because structure. If your structure is strong, you can work fast, you can work hard, isn't it? Some people, if they wake up in the morning also, the disease. If they do bit hard work also, disease. It's a bad structure. And I should also be thankful to my parents, especially my mom and dad. They have given a very good, immune system. Seriously, boss. That's okay. Here, structure. I will try to take separate sessions on HTML structure, how to create a page structure. And content, what are the different kind of content types are there? Content is king, as I already said. But once you open a page, what sort of content that we can place? For placing each content, we should also be in a position to check what are the different contents that we can place in a page. How do we place? Where do we place? That is important. Next, HTML documents are structured using elements. What is that? Elements. These language terminologies are very important, which are defined by tags enclosed with angle brackets. Elements, tags, brackets. These are the terminologies which language is using, right, sir? HTML documents are structured by an element and which are created by tags. Here, you must understand elements and tags properly. Syntaxes also. I'll give you time. The basic structure, every web page, the basic structure includes HTML and closing with HTML. Whatever the code that you guys have to write, you must be in a position to write in between HTML and CSS. Am I making sense? I hope you all understand. Syntax is very clear. Maybe if you wanted to write a Java program or if you want to write a Python program, there is too much of setup that we have to do initially. To learn HTML, no need of putting up setup. Write a code, execute in a browser. Browser is acting as a output, is a parser. You can directly live page also to try to execute in a browser only. Browser and internet connection and editor. These three is required, and knowledge is required to write it. Enough. But for Java, servers are required. For Python, you have to have a server. That's okay. Even the basic structure I'm trying to define. So tags define the structure and content of elements within HTML document, because tags, building block of a web page. Who is a building block of a web page? Tags. However, we can blocks, which is called as bricks. To construct a wall, what is required? We need a bricks. To construct a page, we need a tags. However, if you are connecting a brick, listen carefully, sir. Listen, I'll give you time. If you want to construct a wall, all the bricks you have to join together, right, sir? Similarly, to create a page, we have to join tags. If you guys are joining tags, that is called as element. A group of elements can be used to create a pages. A group of pages can be called as an application. At my point, here, every web page contains a lot of tags and elements, and each page also having a components, like portions. We are going to divide a page into multiple bits and pieces. That is called components. Once we structure a page, we can also link that pages to another pages, another pages, another page. A group of pages is called as application. A group of applications is called as a package or maybe a framework, XYZ. I don't want that level at this stage. Now, first understand tags are building block of a page. Now, throughout HTML, three concepts are important. How tags are working, what are the tags which are there in HTML, all the versions, what is the use of them, that one. What is element? You must also be in a position to understand what is an element. At the same time, you should understand what are the types of elements, how elements are going to help us to structure the web page. Very simple. HTML is only structure, structure, structure. For structure, we are using tags. We are also using elements. Then, to give more information about that particular elements and tags, we have attributes. These three, if you learn, no matter even if it is HTML1 or HTML2 or HTML5, any version, it is easy for you to understand. Next, attributes. As I already said, you see that attributes provides additional information about an element. They are added with a opening tag. Attributes are very, very important to give additional information. I'll give you one simple example for you to understand attribute. See, the moment when you born, was there any qualification attached to it? You're earning, right? You're working hard, you're studying, and you are getting a degree. That degree is an additional information about you, right, sir? And again, you are going to learn a couple of trainings and certifications that you are doing, and you are joining some institutions to learn the latest technologies. Like however, you are joining your Java full stack, Python full stack. This is also you are earning certificate. Am I making sense? This is also add a value to you, right? It's an extra information. A person without extra information, nowadays, survival is very tough. Similarly, when we are placing an element inside a web page, to style, we have to add extra. To provide any interactions, we have to provide extra information. To perform some sort of backend operations. See, think about it. As long as if you click on login for every application, what it is doing? Internally, they are collecting your username and password, and they are validating behind the scenes whether these credentials are right or wrong. That is called interaction. That is also be extra information about an element. That can be achieved with the help of attributes. The attributes are playing very important. Right? There are few elements in HTML which are very mandatory attributes of there. Few attributes are not mandatory. If the attribute is mandatory, we can call it as important and required attributes. And if it is not mandatory, we can consider them as optional. One more point. Now, what is optional? See, morning breakfast is mandatory, but optional is maybe cool drink or extra stuff is optional, but mandatory is different. Something is mandatory. But if you get extra, it's bonus. But if food is not there, what is the mandatory items for a human, if you ask me? Food, bed, and shelter, clothes. These are four things which are mandatory. But after that, apart from that, luxury. Maybe if you have a bungalow or if you have a heroine, and that is a different story. But mandatory is four. Food, bed, and bed is all about shelter, I can say. And also clothes. Enough. Am I making sense? Here for an HTML page to create, tags, elements, attributes. Enough. See how easy it is. If the trainer is explaining in a proper way, you can remember it in a lifelong way. But all you have to do is you have to listen properly and practice. So, any questions so far? Hope session is clear. Next, history. It's very important to understand history so that Guys, right from the beginning, when I started writing a application code on 2004, which means that 2004, I started writing a application. I'm building a. During that time, HTML3, we were using HTML4 and 3 we were using, and it was not released latest versions. And those guys are not very comfortable to write applications because a lot of restrictions. And even web technologies was not improved. Internet also not up to the mark. At a point. And the API layer is also not so great. In order to make an asynchronous calls between a client and server to build a dynamic applications, we were facing too many challenges. That's the reason the entire world of IT was not connected. We were not aware what is happening in US, what is happening in Canada, what is happening in Australia. But now, due to evaluation of a technology, the IT industry has reached to a certain level wherein if you prompt, AI tools are giving a output. If you give a text, AI tool is creating a graphic behind the scenes. Earlier, everything we were creating, but now intelligent systems are listening to us. They're just giving an output, and technology is drastically improved. Similarly, HTML also improved a lot. And the older versions, HTML 1.0 was released in the year 1993. And C was invented on 1992 at AT&T laboratories at USA. Dennis Ritchie. But the same year, majority of programs are released in 1990s. Majority of the programs. That too, majority of the programs owned by Americans. Why? Because they won't even waste time. They will hire a talent from India. They'll make use of Indians to build their product. But Indians are super talented to work under someone. We are not talented to work. Now I'm glad I'm just in my company, the US people are working. UK people are working. I'm glad. I work under their leadership also, but now they are working under my leadership. It's a good. I'm so much happy that few Anglo-Indians or maybe Anglo-Indians. I'm just giving an opportunity. They'll say, Murli, yes, that sounds really great. Right, sir. Cool. Come back. And HTML 1 was not so comfortable to build an application. The first version always trial and error, right? Because when you born, that is the first version. Is it possible for you to work? No. Similarly, HTML1 was also not so benefit to build an application. That's why 1995 2.0 released. Then again, it has its own limitations. Then 1997, I think, I don't know when you guys are born. I think all of the people born in 2000 plus, right? 2001, 2002. How many people are 1990? Can you raise your hands? 95. Only one. The rest all are 2000. Okay. So in 2000, you can also see that HTML 4.1. In between HTML 4.1 and HTML5, there are two versions are there, which are called DHTML. I was not able to display it here because space is constrained. I'm making sense. But you must understand, in between HTML4 and HTML5, there are two versions. One is DHTML, another one is XHTML. Those guys are not major released. I mean to say, major changes were not there. That's the reason we are not considering them as a release. Only few changes. But DHTML division and span tag has been added, and also made powerful for dynamic applications. And until HTML4, we were using HTML4 or all the HTMLs to create a static page. That's why static web pages only were there in the olden days. Now interactive pages. So I can interact with anyone, anywhere. He can sit and geographical. I can connect a USA candidate by sitting here. How? Because there is a technology which is connected. The UI can be created by using latest HTML5 and CSS3 and Bootstrap, and the backend can be created with anyone. Here, DHTML and XHTML. DHTML, few tags have been added for creating a dynamic pages. They added comfortable tags. And XHTML, they added a rules, roles, and rules and regulations. What do you mean by rules and regulations? I'll tell you. First, HTML is a beauty, which means if you make a mistake, also it will not give any error. That is one beauty I can say, but that can also be a drawback, I can say. Think about it. If any mistake, if you are committing, if errors are there, then you will rectify and you will move on. Or else if they are chumma, if they are ignoring, what happens? You will not consider. That's the reason you see that government of India also, on top of cigarette packs or maybe liquor, everywhere they will try to put a warning. But Indians are ignoring warnings. If you ignore warnings today, after 35 years, when you are in ICU, all the warnings are keep rolling out. 1, 2, 3, cigarette, cancer, liquor, lung cancer. Now your age is okay. 80-90%, even in Marthal, you believe or not, Saturday and Sunday, this garbage collection people, they will collect more bead bottles than a garbage. I don't know whether they are drinking water or they are drinking liquor. If government of India, if they are really taking care about our lives, they can ban from the source, right? They will not do that. Why? Because majority of the income comes from nonsense, tobacco. They can ITC, they can close. They have a power to close, isn't it? And we can make it, what we can say, drug-free country, but we cannot. Why? Because the one who is creating a drug, he will not use the drug. Why? Because you know the effects of that drug. Vijay Malla will not drink a Kingfisher, but many people will drink Kingfisher. I'm coming to a concept. I'm not going out of it. Please understand the reality here. I'm making sense. If the rules and regulations are not strict, and however, the product will not be stable. Until XHTML, HTML was not stable. That is what I mean. Example, what I took, that should also helpful for you. If you are a beer drinker or if you are a smoker, please change today. You are changing for your benefits, not for Murli sir. Okay, come back to the concept. XHTML, they added a lot of rules. Rule number 1, every document should also properly, the structure should be proper. If you violate the structure, warning. That warning will try to kill you, karma. It will kill you definitely in the future. They started giving warnings. But HTML failed to give us errors because HTML is not programming nor scripting. Because of which it cannot provide errors. Errors can be possible only in scripting and programming. Do remember. Since it's a markup language, warnings are there. But too many warnings also creates a problem. Even one warning also creates a problem. So that's where that rules have been added. And if you're using a tag properly, if it is a pair tag, close properly. If it is a single tag, close properly. If it is attribute, use properly. And if you are giving a content, write content properly. All the rules have been added in XHTML. No tags have been added, no elements have been added, no attributes have been introduced. Only stabilizing happens in XHTML. No. By that time, it was not there. Linking and all, it was not there. That's what I'm telling you. HTML was one. The question is here. He's asking HTML1 was sufficient enough to build the linkings and all this stuff. It was not there because a born baby cannot run now. He cannot work on a software engineering side. Education is required. Now HTML5 is the one which can be used effectively for all the needs. Because it took a decades from 1993 to 2024. How many years it is? Almost closely 30 plus years. Fast. 2024, right? We are in. No, HTML1 started in 1993, but HTML5 now it is 2024. We are in. But it was released in 2014. That's okay. HTML5 released in 2014. But we are in 2024, which means that almost 3 decades, a lot of changes. Now you people are lucky. We were unlucky. How we were unlucky? Resources were not there. And to complete a task, now if you ask ChatGPT, ChatGPT will give a data. If you ask Copilot, Copilot will give a data. If you ask, Stack Bridge, they will give a data. But for us, no one is going to give a data. That is where we struggled a lot during our, entry level of a software engineering. Today we become a masters. Now you have everything. Everything is coming easy, and that's where you cannot teach. You cannot become a subject matter expert. Now, if you follow me, you can also become a subject matter expert in future. Make sense? Fine. Hope you all understand. HTML6 is also about to announce, but I don't know when they are going to announce. And one of the beauty here, if you guys are learning, if you join this course, tomorrow if HTML6 comes, it is a free of cost. I'm promising you people, you need not to pay any single penny. Okay, sir. And we are going to do a free of cost for that course. If you enroll for Java full stack, if any religious comes in Java full stack, that is absolutely free. If you go for Python full stack, lifetime, not even 1 or 2 years. Okay, sir. That is the beauty of AchieversIT, because that is where AchieversIT is, supporting more than 40,000 people from the beginning of AchieversIT. Fine. And syntaxes and core concepts of HTML. It's very clear. You can make a note of this syntax. No matter, even if you are from a non-technical background also, I think this explanation clearly injecting into your brain, right? So opening tag, closing tag, in between we are writing a content, and from opening tag till the closing tag, we are calling it as element. The syntaxes are very, very important. So here you all can see less than followed by tag name. Here in this particular example, I have used P, that is a paragraph tag, and greater than. Less than followed by tag name and greater than. This is a opening tag. And when you come to the closing, you all can see here, this is a closing tag. This particular closing part. See, what is the difference between opening and closing? Only forward slash, right, sir? And this one, we are calling it as a content. First, content is a king. This guy is a king. What sort of content that we have to place? That plays very, very, very crucial role in application, any application. Think about it. If the content is a junk content, if the content is not a relevant content, do you all think that users comes to your web page? Now today you join here to learn technology. If I try to teach about my family background or my achievements, it's nonsense, right? It is not required for you. Am I making sense? That is irrelevant to you. That is where you will not come. So similarly, if an application, if it is e-commerce related application, we must place e-commerce related content. If it is a fintech related application, we have to place fintech related content. If it is a hospitality related content application, that's why content plays very, very important role. And content creation will be done by different teams. But we are placing a content inside a page. Don't worry about content creation. We are just placing a content. We are placing content into a page. Who is creating content? Multiple team members are there in company. For a graphical content, graphic designers will be there. For a text content, there will be a content writers will be there. For audio and video content, there are different kind of people are there. Don't worry about it. One man cannot build a whole application. So interact with each one of them. You have to have a proper communication skills. presentation skills, leadership skills, collaboration skills. That is where AchieversIT is giving free of cost all this. What AchieversIT is giving? Free of cost. You need not to pay anything for it. It is an extra bonus for us. But if you use them, you will get a benefit. Now, syntax is also, while writing a syntax, less than, followed by tag name, greater than. Then, see, clearly I'm mentioning here. The from opening tag till closing part, we are calling that as a element. So elements are powerful. Now, elements are created with the help of a tag only, right? There is nothing new. Elements are created with the help of tags. That's my point. Any queries here? No, right? Next, let us move on. So we are going to talk about attributes. The core concepts, as I already discussed, three core concepts. One is tag, element, attribute. Now, I hope you understand what is the syntax of a tag. What is the syntax of an element? Now, I'm just explaining what is an attribute. If you listen carefully, this attribute, I'm giving an example by taking image as a tag. In case, if you want to place an image inside a web page, img is a tag. src is attribute name, followed by attribute value. You see that attribute name and attribute value, both of them are considered as attribute. Both of them are considered as attribute. And we are also giving a space separated here, and we are giving another attribute. Here, 2 points that you can understand. Listen carefully. As I already said, attributes are giving extra or additional information to the element. That is main advantage of using attributes. Then how? The syntax of that is, first you have to follow by attribute name is equals to double quotations and attribute value. This is the syntax. And you cannot give comma. Some intelligent students, after giving thorough explanation also, they will not listen properly because the communication gap. I'll give you one example. If I inform something to one particular person, the person will add a masala. He will not even pass the same information. That is how humans are, right? He will either add masala or he will try to remove some important things. End of the day, if I say that the class is 7:30, when it is passing to the other person, okay, you will think that 8:39. See, completely data is corrupted. Even the trainer is saying class is 7:30, but they are listening to someone else and they are accepting that, not trainer one. And how much gap is there? Leakage gap. But here also, syntaxes are very powerful. I'm taking general examples so that it will inject when you are working. If you wanted to give more information to an element, more attributes should be added. How do we add more attributes? By giving space separated on the open tab. Space separated. Clearly, I said. But in order to place an image, you need an image. Who is going to create it? Graphic designers creates an image. They will give an image. All you have to do is you should place an image inside a page by using image tag. We'll try to teach separately when you're talking image. Now here, what you have to understand? Syntax of an attribute, how to add a single attribute, how to add a multiple attribute. What is the syntax? And here, few attributes are mandatory. Few attributes are optional. For every tag, some attributes are mandatory, some attributes are optional. Now I'm going to teach whenever we are talking about the tags, and I'll try to teach what are the mandatory attributes, what are the optional. Mandatory means you must use it. Optional in the sense you can either use or ignore. For an image, SRC and alt is mandatory nowadays. That we'll talk in detail when you're talking about image tag. Don't worry. In this slide, you must understand what is attribute, syntax of an attribute, and how to add a single and multiple. Any questions here? Attribute name and values are separated by an equal sign. And value should always be placed inside a double quotations. Very simple. Next, you see that one more example I just started giving. However, I took an example of image. Now here I have taken example of division. Second example, division where class is equals to attribute name and content. Whatever we place inside a class, that is known as attribute value. And begin tag and end tag. In between, we are writing element value, which is also called as content. In the previous slide, if you can see, in between a start tag and end tag, we are placing the content, right? We are calling as element value. That can also be called as element. Next, one more example here. I have taken one more example, anchor tag. A, H reference. Anchor is generally for linking. Just before a few minutes, our friend is asked, how do we link? By using anchor. And if you want to link, I should know the link page, right? If I don't know the address of a link page, how can I link? At my point, the address can be placed inside a H reference attribute value. Here, who is the attribute? Attribute name is H reference. Attribute value is http://s2 www.google.com. What is www stand for? What is World Wide Web? If I say www, World Wide Web. What is World Wide Web? Let's me reframe my question. The logic is already incorporated. World Wide Web, which is an organization. W3C, it is an organization wherein it is helping you people to connect anything in internet with the help of internet anywhere across the globe. That is what World Wide Web. Web applications can be connected to anyone sitting at anywhere. See, even some people, I don't know where they join from. Online team, they are joining through their laptops, a comfortable zone using internet technology. That is their web. Isn't it? Who is just maintaining all the releases? W3C, World Wide Web. C for consortium is one of the organizations who maintains the web standards. Today, if some standards are there in the sense it was released because owners are required, right? For every language, there was a owners. If you wanted to create a computer also, you have to take a permissions from Charles Babbage and their team. Why? Because they have a patent. Boss, you cannot create your own way because computer is invented by Charles Babbage. So if I want to create a computer, I have to apply for rights. Similarly, if I want to create a browser, I have to apply browser rights. If I want to create a language, I have to apply language rights. Everything rights will be there. Similarly, HTML, CSS, and internet technologies, web standards will be maintained by W3C. Hope my session is more useful and informational. And in between, we are writing a element value, also called as content. If user clicks and go to Google, if it is an anchor tag, it will search for H reference value. It will take them to that particular page. Very simple logic. The 3 examples that I have taken. Any more queries here? Next, structure of a HTML page. What is the structure? Guys, every HTML page must start with doc type. This is very, very, very important. Even tomorrow, even if you are building a large scale application, this is something is very important. Doc type. Let us begin our discussion with doc. This doc type describes which version of HTML that you are using to create a page. Doc type describes the version. What sort of version that you are using? How many versions that we discussed from 1992 to 2014? 5. But behind the scenes, another 2 is there. Don't ever try to say 5. It will be a wrong answer. Totally 7 versions are there. Who are they? HTML1, HTML2, HTML3, 4, in between DHTML, XHTML, and 5. And in between, there are subversions are there. Don't worry about it. HTML 5.0.1, 5.0.2. No, that guys we are not considering as a main version. Make sense, sir? How many versions of HTML now? 7 versions. Do remember. Now, for all 7 versions, when we are creating a web page, how do we give a version? If you are not specifying a version, then browser, when it is executing your code for an output, browser will also be like, how browser can validate it? Whatever you write it, someone should validate and provide output, right, sir? Even if you write an examination, evaluator has to give an output. If I'm writing a code, application servers has to give an output. Similarly, HTML, if you're writing HTML code, the browsers are acting as a servers there. It has to give an output. The browser also should have an information to validate that particular page on a right version, right? To give a information to a browser to evaluate your web page properly. If I'm not giving a doc type, what happens? Browser will be in a confusion. Whether the browser has to validate your page by HTML4 rules and regulations, or HTML5 rules and regulations, or HTML3 rules and regulations, it will be in a confusion. That's why if you are specifying a doc type, every version, the doc type definition is called DTD. What is that? Document type definition, DTD. This document type definition for every version is different. Now, if I am using simple doc type HTML, which means that this belongs to version 5. If I am using version 5 always it is supporting all the older versions, because latest guy aware of history, but latest guy he cannot understand future, right? HTML5 cannot understand HTML6, but even HTML6, if it is released, it can understand HTML5 because it was in the history. History can be revisited. Future cannot be visited. Why? Because it is future. Because we are not predicting what is going to happen. Am I making sense, sir? Now here, the task for you guys today, while watching this video, go back to the internet and see the document type definition for each version, and compare the document type definition with HTML5 version. Then you will get to know HTML5 is simplified and it is easy. For HTML4 document type definition is such a lengthy one that you have to do exercise today. The first task for all of you guys, go back to internet and understand what is the doc type which is described for HTML 1.0 also, 2.0 also, so on, 5.0, compare. Now we should always use HTML5, not older versions. Do remember, it's a note. We must always use HTML5 for designing a pages or structuring a pages. Why? Because HTML5 supports all the older versions. Here, one more thing, trick is, if you guys are describing a document type as HTML4, maybe if you are using HTML5 tags, then validation is not going to happen properly, because you mentioned that your page structure is creating with HTML4, but you started using HTML5 tags. Then the browser will be in a confusion, right? You're giving a wrong information to your browser while validating. Don't do that. That's the reason, for a safer side, we can describe our version document type is HTML5 so that you can use HTML5 tags or older tags. That is a beauty point to remove. Next, every HTML document will start from HTML. This is a root element. This one is called a root element. HTML is a root element. Then it will always start with a head. Inside a head, we are going to write a page information. This is the one which will use for page information. You will understand frequently, and Slowly, one by one, you will understand what to write inside. There are few tags which are specifically described to write inside a head. Do not misplace the tags which we're supposed to place inside the head. Don't place it inside the body. The tags which we're supposed to place it inside the body, don't place it inside the head. Because see, if the eyes, if the newborn baby also, eyes where it will come? In the head part only, right? Have you ever seen any baby eyes is in the bottom of legs? No, right? Because the structure is created. That is where all the production is also coming in the same way. Similarly, no matter even whatever the pages that you are building, make sure that there are a couple of information that you have to place inside a head for page information. To whom you have to give page information? For search engines. For search engines, for browsers, and for other servers. And page design can be taken care by, we are going to place the page designs inside a body. Page designs, we are going to place it inside a. Get my point? Hope you all understand what I'm trying to explain. Okay, sir. Now, inside a body, all the design related. This one is page info. We are going to place here information about a page. Page info we are placing inside a head, and here inside a body, page design. We can make it as page design. Design specific element we are going to place. Remember that enough. We'll move on. Slowly you will understand much. Next, key points. What to take away from this particular session. See, whatever you learn, every hour we have to evaluate. What are the things that we learned? And if you are not evaluating it, that is what majority of the people won't even check their evaluations. They will try to verify. Once they fail in the interview, and they will feel. If you evaluate every hour and then, and definitely you will not fail in the interview, I'm sure. If you waste time today, tomorrow will be always, difficult. Have a point. That's why I'm evaluating. I'm giving you points in the meeting itself. HTML, we learned what is the fundamentals of HTML. Again, I'm repeating here. HTML is a standard markup language which is used to create a web pages, and it helps us to define the structure and layout of a web document by using various tags and attributes. That is what we learned, right? Next, tags are keywords. These guys are keywords enclosed in angle brackets. And we have already seen the syntax of open tag, syntax of closing tag, and syntax of attribute, syntax of a element. Now, attributes provides additional information about an element. That's what I explained. I'm just giving a conclusion that are specified within the open tag. And the structure. Every HTML page, it must start from doc type, and it should also have a root element which is called as HTML. And inside HTML, two main children, one is head, another body. Inside a head, we have to write a page information. Inside a body, you have to write a page design. Make sense? These points provide a fundamental understanding of HTML, which is very crucial in development. This is more than enough for you. Every point. So this is quite good enough for you to understand the concept. See, I haven't wasted your single minute. Why? Because you paid for it, and I'm just giving a delivery. Am I talking any nonsense here? And you can also compare this training with any other Udemy trainings or any other places. You will never ever get. Even guys, listen carefully. I can proudly say that today US companies are recognized AchieversIT, and Singapore companies are recognized AchieversIT. And we are also signing off a couple of projects in Abu Dhabi as well to give a trainings for them. Because in the training industry, we have created a different mark. Because the quality of content, yes, everywhere content is there, but how to place them in order to give a quality to student. Now see, we are headquartered at Marthalli. Luckily, you people are here. And our branch offices at Hyderabad. And we're also planning to start 2030. Our mission is to establish our operations entire India and all the cities. And other countries, majority of the countries. For each continent, at least, we are planning to do 3 to 5 branches. And we are just doing more. Because if hard work is not paying for us, then there is no value for our hard work. Every day, I used to work minimum 14 hours, maximum 16 hours. That is where the success is coming into the picture. So keep that particular momentum, wake up with a determination, go to bed with a satisfaction. That's all for today.